Hey, this is Benjamin Mara. You're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
I like it a lot.
Excellent. If you like it, I love it.
I like it a lot. Yes. No holds barred this episode. Going off the top rope. Yep.
I mean, it is a great book in the sense that if you ever just want pages of people sitting on a toilet, perfect.
Well, I'd like to think it's more than that, but yeah.
It is absolutely more than that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I've
lost count of how many conversations are being had.
It's natural.
Yes.
It's unvarnished.
Right.
It's real.
I love the lines. I cannot take my eyes off.
Right. A lot of times, and again, I wish he was here. I could say this to him. A lot of times during the reading of the book, I felt like a voyeur. I felt like I was witnessing events and conversations that maybe I shouldn't be privy to, that maybe they would want to keep it within the family and personal and secluded, right? Behind that curtain that we all throw up, right? And I was just like, wow, this is really raw. It's real. It's parts of it are very uncomfortable. But to his credit, it's the truth as he sees it, which is amazing. And this is the truth, ladies and gentlemen, because this is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 870. Damn. I'm a very confused and happy. I'm still happy. I'm still Vince B.
You are still Vince B. and confused and happy, and I am David A. Price.
And coming at you from Hurricane Isaac, I am Storm Fields.
Oh my God. What is with this frickin' beer? Oh, it got all over me. No, I just bought it.
I mean, you can still buy it and it's just been sitting on the shelf.
This is true, but I didn't shake it or anything. And it does that. No, you're not. I didn't even hear what you said because I was drenched.
Lindsay Lloyd Young. No,
Storm Fields.
You're not Lindsay Lohan. You're Jason Wood, everybody. Here today on this very strange episode where we are just going to go off the rails. Craziness will ensue, but first, we have to take care of a little bit of business. This episode has been brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com. That's right. If you're looking for anything like an omnibus or a collected edition or a trade paperback, which is kind of the same as a collected edition, or the manga, they have many of the manga. Go to cheapgraphicnovels.com. Let's take a little peek at their homepage, shall we? Well, it looks like they have the Absolute Justice League, the world's greatest, for 40% off. It's $59.99. Now, what does this include? This is Alex Ross and Paul Dini. So this is pretty cool. It collects Superman, Peace on Earth, Batman, War on Crime, Shazam, Power of Hope, Wonder Woman, Spirit of Truth, JLA Secret Origins, and JLA Liberty and Justice. That's a lot of comics goodness in there, especially if you like your fully rendered comic panels. Many people do. It's a list price of $100, but you're only going to pay $59.99. That's 40% off. It's crazy. Oh, wait, Wolverine Omnibus Volume 5. What? $150 list price. You are going to get it for 40% off, $89.99. Now, what does this collect? It collects Wolverine 76 to 101, Annual 95, Marvel Comics Presents 150, 151, Cable, my man, number 16, Wolverine Evolution, Wolverine Nick Fury, Scorpio Rising is in here. Oh, Ghost Rider, Wolverine Punisher, The Dark Design, Wolverine Knight of Terra, Wolverine Gambit, Victims, Uncanny X-Men 332 and Logan, Path of the Warlord, and material from Marvel Comics Presents 152 to 155. So it does collect 150 to 155, I guess, the Wolverine-centric stuff. Larry Hama and Adam Kubert was the driving force during this period, wasn't he? Because it says Lady Deathstrike, Bloodscream, Cyber, Deadpool, Ogun.
Yeah, most def.
Yeah, Phalanx. So this is a great volume. I opt for the Wolverine Epic Collections as opposed to the Omniboo, only because I started with the Epic Collections and I really don't want to buy this stuff again. So, I mean, whatever flavor you pick, cheapgraphicnovels.com has you covered. You're not going to pay a whole lot of money for it. So go there, take a look around, place an order. Not too much. Take a little nibble, small bite behind the ear. And once you place the order, you're going to be receiving an email confirmation. Thank you for ordering from us. And you reply to this email confirmation. You tell them, you know what? 11 O'Clock Comics sent us. And they will say, whoa, by golly, here is free shipping on your next order. Unheard of in Jason Woodland. Unheard of. Free shipping. Because shipping's so expensive anymore. I bought a floppy. A little $3.99 floppy, and shipping was like $7.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Cheap graphic novels, they laugh at shipping because they're giving it to you for free. They probably don't laugh once you place that second order, but that's neither here nor there. Cheapgraphicnovels.com. Go there.
There's a great meme where it's like
Mimi?
$7.99 plus $2 shipping. Nah. $9.99 free shipping? Oh yeah, bet. I'm on it.
That's how people think.
Yep.
Isn't it? My wife will not pay for shipping.
I will do everything I can to avoid paying shipping.
No, I get it.
I'll look for things from other sellers, but
right.
but if I have to, then so be it.
But
not stupid expensive shipping, though. I can't.
Oh, no, she will
I
not.
don't want the shipping to cost more than the damn item.
Exactly. If the shipping is like 60% of the item, or no, if the shipping is at 50% of the item, I won't order it. I won't. I just won't. But if she needed a heart transplant and the only way they could do it would be to mail the heart to the house, she would not do it if she had to pay shipping. So it's a win-win.
Unless it's your heart.
And I have a big heart. You know that.
I do.
I have a big heart. And I guess I must be getting older and more experienced and seasoned because I've learned to roll with the punches, I guess. Because I had a little bit of the anxiety today because we had a guest scheduled. And for whatever reason, the guest is not here. And so going in, I was a little bit perturbed. But once I heard David and Jason's voices, I was like, let's make lemonade, bitches.
This is not true because you heard me come on and you're like, this fucking computer, he's out, and you kicked me off the air.
I did kick you off, but no, I would never. Now, see, I know you're playing it up for the folks at home.
There was his voice did heighten when we saw that you were connected, Jason.
I didn't think you fired me from the show.
No.
That was no Miguel, but
well, they chopped off one of Ghidra's heads and they just replaced it with a cybernetic one. So there's no way that you're going to leave completely, at least not unscathed.
So
I think that was a compliment, was it?
Sure. I mean, what's weird is that in the short while we've been doing this show and all the guests we've had, this one particular guest got you all anxious.
Nobody means more to me.
I know.
There's one person that parallels him, and it's Matthew Allison.
Wow.
Yes. Matthew Allison and he are my two favorite people, other than yourselves, on this planet.
That is... I don't know who that's heavier for because I fucking love Matthew.
I love Matthew. I really do.
I mean,
no joke. I do. We are, and this isn't why I love him. We are very much alike. We have a lot of
Yes.
the same interests. We have a lot of the same knowledge on really, really obscure, stupid things that nobody cares about. And I admire his talent more than everyone else. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, this book, and I guess are we going to not talk about the book much in case we reschedule with him? Because it's an intense thing.
It is, and I don't want to make us unable to host him. It's like, well, we can't talk about it because we talked about it last episode. But let's just let the people in on a little bit of behind the curtain stuff. Josh Bayer was supposed to be here this episode, and I just can't connect with him on Skype. Now, whether we got our lines crossed in the scheduling stage, he knew he was coming on. He pinged me today or yesterday through the email, and he's like, "Are we still good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're good." Whether or not he forgot that we do Skype and not phone, I don't know. But I can't connect with him, and we have a schedule to keep. That's how important recording this show is to us. We do not miss a week. I cannot schedule it tomorrow night because I have class. We can't do it Friday. It had to be tonight. So Josh isn't here, but we read his it's out now, his book Unended. And it is, I don't want to throw this word around needlessly, but it's the word that you use when you say something is exceptionally good. It is. It's that. There's a motif in the book where he sees himself being hit by the Ignatz brick. On the contents page, God throws an Ignatz brick at Josh Bayer. And I was going to lead with, the book is raw, the book is unfiltered, and it is heavier than a hit from a God-thrown Ignatz brick. And it is. There are sections of this book that are the truth. However uncomfortable that may make the reader feel, because it feels like you're peering in through the Bayer family window and you're watching all of these events unfold, and you're kind of feel a little skeevy because you don't really belong there. But Josh is letting you into this story, and it's about his father who passed, and after he passed, Josh found or was given an unfinished play that his father had wrote about the family, and Josh adapted it to sequential art, and he had to finish it. And the book is more about Josh than anybody else. I can't say it's wonderful because you don't get that singing in the rain feeling from it. You really don't. But it is a masterpiece, and I think it's his best work. Yeah. And he plays on pop culture and comics tropes within the book, and his favorite characters pop up here or there. I think it's exceptionally well done, and it's very revealing.
To say the least, yeah. Revealing.
Yeah, the reason why he has that indefatigable lust to produce. Like, he's always working and always making things and creating art. And now you know why. Now you read this book, you'll know why. That he's an engine for creation.
It's his origin story. I haven't read everything in Josh's catalog, I'm sad to say, but of what I have read, Unended is definitely at the top of the list for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I mean, it's a shame again he's not here, because like the fact that it was his father's play that he found when he died, and it wasn't finished, and then he decides to make a comic about it, and then it has the ending that it has. There's just a lot there, man. It's like we're watching him on the couch work through his ish.
Exactly. Yeah, and you could see why Josh is straight edge, right? And he's
I forgot that he was, but that does make sense.
Yeah, and he has a cosmically Puritan work ethic. Like, he just pummels through work. He just he's like the perpetual motion machine. He's always making art, and you will understand why after you read this. It's magnificent. It's an accomplishment and a half. Maybe, I mean, I don't think we because there's so many things I want to ask him, right? And I love the relationship he has with Hyena. Like, I think that's was one of the best parts of the book for me. How she just does not take shit. She will tell you the truth whether it hurts you or not. And that's so. I mean, if you know the lady, I observe their online interactions, and they're amazing together. But it's not flashy. It's not showy. It's just that, what they call it? Shipping. Shipping, when you try and pair your favorite. Yeah. If I had to ship somebody with Josh Baer, it would be Hyena. Like, there just seems to be a magic thing that happens with these two. And you see some of that in the book. But, I mean, we were going in, I was like, if Hyena wants to come on too, hey, more the merrier, right? But unfortunately, none of it came to pass. So we're rolling with it, and we will try and get him back. He wanted to come on before SPX so he can get maybe a little eyeballs on his thing. I don't think he needs it, but yeah, okay. And there's one part of the book I had a laugh where he's like, I'm Josh Baer. People all around the world read my stuff. And there's a little footnote, and it says, kinda. Sort of. So it's unvarnished. It's the truth, and it's wonderful. So if you have a couple extra bucks in your pocket, get Unended by Josh Baer. It is absolutely phenomenal. You will come back to whatever forum, whether on Reddit or our online. We don't have an online forum, but in our Slack, because there's a way to do that, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. You can get into our Slack and then comment on Josh Baer's book, or on our Facebook page or whatever. This book will affect you, and you'll emerge from the experience knowing much, much more about the creator, the Renaissance man that is Josh Baer. Yeah. So we had something planned, and now we don't. So what do? Well, after we tell you what we're drinking, we're just going to have a good old time talking about comics. How about that? This is a strange one, but it's going to be a fun one. I, thankfully, have alcohol. And my week has become very complex lately. There's a lot of moving parts in my schedule. So I need to kick back and relax with my booze. So I have some hops. This is from Saranac. It is the Hoppy Hour Hero Mosaic IPA. And there's a period between Mo and Zaic. So Mosaic IPA. It is 7.8 alcohol by volume, 75 IBUs, and it is delicious. I love Saranac stuff. So there you go. I'm drinking Saranac, Dap.
I like it.
I got some Aha lime and watermelon.
Awesome. I'm just glad you're here to tell us about it.
There you go.
What?
You're adorable.
He does not know how to take a heartfelt compliment.
I don't know about that.
You know what? NYCC, I'm going to have to kick you in the ass a little bit. I don't care if you're taller than me.
It sounds like it.
I'm
Oh,
stronger.
my goodness.
I'm stronger.
Dude,
than
it's
you.
because of these tech issues, man. I as you know off air, I said I'm going to buy a new laptop. I can't have this.
Nice. Roll with it, my friend.
I know.
They can hear the one they came to hear
I hate
anyway.
the idea of not being able to talk or messing up the audio because I'm talking.
I get it, my friend. Dap, what are you drinking?
I am. The wife's got the AC kicking.
As well she should.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's been brutal the past couple of days. So I didn't want anything with an ice cube in it. I was thinking about the gin and tonic because I'm about to put on a goddamn hoodie, bro. You don't
Oh,
understand
you're
how
so
chilly it
dainty.
is.
Oh my
I
God.
am.
What does she put it on?
I'm so fucking delicate.
I bet you she has it on 70.
It might be 71.
Oh my God. Dude. Daps in the corner with a little shawl on.
I got my little, my little quilted.
I'm so
grandmother
cold.
shawl.
Frodo, I'm so cold.
What's wrong with
Mr.
you?
Frodo, give me that Elvis bread. I'm fucking cold.
Anyway,
Anyway.
it's Michter's US1 whiskey with a splash of seltzer, but I'm sipping on that, and then I'll follow it up with my big ass tumbler of water.
Nice. That's awesome. Neither of you watched One Piece yet, did you?
I'm up to the fourth. They're in the fog, so that's the fourth episode.
Oh, nice.
I'm loving it, bro.
It's so good.
I can't wait to watch it again. I'm hoping that I can get Renee to give the first episode a shot and see if she'll sit with me through the rewatch. But Buggy just blows me away, and I can't. The first episode, as fun as that was, I think I like the second, third more. But I'm having an absolute blast with it.
I had to giggle when you said on the Slack, I love Buggy. Buggy's fucking annoying, and he's obnoxious. I hate
100%.
him. No, in the big picture of One Piece, Buggy's like a footnote. He doesn't even matter. But in the initial stages, he does, because that's
all I've consumed so far is the
right. He's the trial by fire, but. I thought it was so appropriate that you liked Buggy, and he's like one of my least favorite characters.
Of course, it's appropriate, but it's not even. Had I been introduced to him in the manga, that might be one thing. But I'm watching this actor bring the character to life, and that's what I can't look away from.
Yeah,
it's fun. My man is just like so into playing this murderous clown. It's insane.
Yeah. It's really well. Like I think odds were against them on actually making this work, and I don't know what kind of magic mojo they worked to pull it off, but it all sparkles. It all works.
I'm glad we got what we got. I love that one season, but the swelling that people have for One Piece, and for Netflix to embrace it as they have to create the show and hopefully make more of it because of how people are reacting to it. I wish Cowboy Bebop got that, because I would love to get more Cowboy Bebop. But again, we got what we got. I'm not upset about it, but I'm not trying to compare the two. I just, the way they're both adaptations from other sources, and live action, extremely well done. But One Piece, just it's a ton of fun. I'm glad I gave it a shot.
Yeah, I don't understand the divisiveness of Cowboy Bebop. I thought it was wonderful.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing though that a fan contingent can have that much sway in the future seasons, that they were very vocal about it online, and then I guess that translated into ratings where those who may have given it a shot didn't because they heard bad thing. I don't know. I thought. I was watching. I was like, how much better can this possibly be? I thought it was very well done. But like One Piece, I'm not a fan of Usopp in the manga. Like I tolerate the character. He's part of the group, and so therefore, because he's Straw Hat, that all right, he matters to me in some offhand way. But he's not the first character I glommed onto, nor is he like the fifth. So, but I know the character of Usopp after having read stupid amounts of One Piece. And I got to say, the kid that they got to play Usopp, I'm sorry I don't have his name handy, is astoundingly like the character in the manga. It is ridiculous how close this kid is. In facial mannerisms, in his the way he looks and the way he acts, like it is ridiculously close. And it's like, how do you do that? Not once, because I think Luffy is a lot like the character in the manga, and Zoro's really close. Sanji's, I think that the guy that they got for Sanji pulled it off remarkably well, and I heard he actually trained in kickboxing for the role.
Which is a
took
hobby now.
Nice. Cooking classes.
Cooking. Yeah.
So it's like, what more can you like? See, when you infuse something with that much creative energy, it has to be successful. And I know that sounds facetious and pie in the sky, but that's how creativity works. If you're investing that much of your will into something, the end product is going to work. And it's going to be contagious. People feel that kind of energy. And I just was like, holy shit. And Nami's like super cute.
She is cute, yeah.
And she can act. She can act very well. Like,
yeah.
I won't say, you haven't gotten there yet, but there's a scene towards the tail end of the show that I was just like, aw. Yeah, she's wonderful. Really.
I haven't watched it, but Holden watched the whole thing. That's like when it came out, he watched the whole thing the first day. Yeah.
So knowing what I know about the manga, the little naval battles that we've seen so far are absolutely nothing to what's coming. And I'm the possibility, or knowing that what I've seen now in the little tiny skirmishes are going to unfold on a grand scale later on. Like, I cannot wait to see some of these battles. There are entire volumes that are nothing but naval battles. Like, the entire 200 pages is just an incident between two opposing forces on a giant scale. And it's like, how are they going to pull this off? Well, I have more confidence that they're going to be able to do it now, seeing these little tiny skirmishes and how wonderfully they were rendered. Like, I can't wait. I hope this thing goes for 10 seasons.
I would love it.
Yeah.
Did you see the second season of Hunters, the Prime show?
Oh, where they hunt Nazis?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
We watched the first season.
Who did?
We were talking about it. Al Pacino plays the guy kind of getting
right. Together. No, I didn't. I didn't stick with the show either. I saw maybe like 3 episodes. Okay. And I kind of trailed off.
The actress who plays Nami is in the second season of Hunters. That's why she looks familiar to me, and I realized why. She's Jonah's fiance in the second season. Jonah, the main character.
Do we get to see her in ways we don't see her in One Piece?
I'm trying to remember.
Because, I think everybody was naked in Hunters. Like, there seems to be, yeah. I'm gonna have to watch it then. If she's in it, I'll fire it back up.
The first season was phenomenal. The second season became a little Tarantino-esque with the way, like, history it didn't follow history. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but they took another route when they were wrapping it up. But as far as One Piece, so I haven't gotten up. I haven't been introduced to Sanji yet.
He's great.
Yeah, so from what I've seen, because just a little preview, the tease that Netflix shows you when you're just scrolling through stuff. There's a scene where I think they meet him where he's at the restaurant, and that's where I think. So I don't know what episode that is, but I'm pretty sure it's obviously coming up soon because I don't know how many episodes there are. 8, and I'm already up to the 4th. So yeah, I'm assuming he'll show up soon. But anyway, I'm having a blast with it, and the suggestion form for our listeners our patrons to nominate recommend a book for us to read this month for the book of the month, maybe we'll get lucky and finally have to read One Piece.
How about that?
I'm not trying to stack the deck or anything like that. I'm just looking forward to it now more than I have been in the past.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't meet Sanji yet, you didn't get to the restaurant, the floating restaurant.
Correct. Which
So-
is probably where they're going to get to while they're floating around in this fog.
Yes. And if there was ever a location in an arc that was written for you,
Oh.
it's all about food and food prep. Well, it's not all, but there's a lot of that in it.
Okay.
And Sanji's very particular about the way he cooks food and thinks oregano is for like plebeians.
Oh, I like him already.
Yeah, so you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. But the actor's name is Jacob Romero that plays Usopp. I think he's
Yes.
phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Actually, Jacob Romero Gibson.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, IMDb only has him as Jacob Romero. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, and even young Luffy's great.
He is.
He's very good. Yeah, it's a winner all around. Yeah, love it. I can't wait. You know what I mean? I don't want to say yes, thank you. Can I have more? I'm very grateful that these 8 episodes exist and they're so wonderful. But I think it's in this consume age we live in that we always want more. It's wrong. We shouldn't be that way. I get it, but man, I want more of this.
Yeah.
He said hypocritically. So yeah, I think it's great. Can't wait till Jason watches it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering. Well, I've read so little One Piece that I was curious if I would, like, going in fresh, if I would have just a different, perspective, and if I would like it. But I've heard nothing but good things. So
Yeah, now,
I'm gonna do it.
I didn't have the 3-in-1 volume with me in hand, comparing all the scenes to the actual manga. But from what I can remember, the events are very close to what Master Oda did in the manga.
So is like an episode like comparable to a volume, or are they just like?
No.
Okay.
No, I would say no. Buggy, the whole Buggy thing is within the first 3-in-1 volume. So maybe they got out of 3-4 volumes. I don't know. 5 volumes.
Okay.
I like I said, I didn't compare it, but and I'm probably wrong because when you I consumed One Piece in those giant 3-in-1 volumes, so it's kind of hard to tell. Like when I say volume 2, I really mean 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. Yeah, great, amazing stuff. Yes, watch it if you haven't already.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
I have something I read that made me. It entertained me, and it made me happy. I appreciated the visuals because I think it's drawn by a man who doesn't have a whole lot of peers in terms of beauty of line, let's just say. But I can't really praise the story all that much. And I'll tell you, let's cut to the chase. I read The Plot Holes, number 1, by Sean Gordon Murphy from Massive. And it was a whole bunch of fun. It was amazingly entertaining. It's when I break down the story for public consumption that it sounds kind of contrived and a little hackneyed, maybe. It's about a group of characters. And when I say characters, they're really characters. They were pulled from literary works. Not in the sense of like fables, but these are characters from works that had a problem. Whether it was a plot inconsistency or maybe just the author was a hack and the events spiraled out of their control and the books were just either not good or there was like a fatal flaw in the narrative somewhere. Well, these characters, who are led by a woman called the editor, they jump into books and they fix them. Their ship is called the Footnote. You see, it's like, okay, Jimmy, you have a something to do for English class. I want you to come up with your own story, Jimmy, and present it to the class. Okay, I'm gonna go real deep. I'm gonna do this story about these characters that came out of books. Wow. And they jump into books and they fix them. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but the plot contrivances in this book, it's not a lofty conceptual thing. I mean, it's
right.
They're characters that are fixing books. And all of the accoutrements of these characters are book related. Like at one point, they jump into a DeLorean. Right, and one of the characters says, just try and keep it under 88. They have these little computers called bookmarks that allows them to jump into this digitized reality of a book. So there's a character ripped from manga. His name's Johnny Manga. and his eyes are bigger.
Clever.
His eyes are larger than normal. Because he's from a manga, right? And he was all of the cliches that one would associate with manga. Like he once was a mechanic on a giant robot that looks very much like a Gundam. There's drifting involved with cars, like Tokyo Drift, and he drives the car into the mech suit to activate it. And the passage that details these events, the pages are done in black and white with a lot of speed lines. Sean Gordon Murphy knows his comic stuff, right? But it's not unlike something that someone with aspirations to be a writer would come up with. Like there's this guy and he's from a manga and he pilots a giant mech, but he drifts a car into it to do it. Like, I'm not belittling this work at all, but there's really no heavy lifting involved with this book. The main character's name's Cliff Dinklewitz. He's a comic book artist. And his wife died of cancer. So he's alone and he funnels all his energy into making comics, and he's been around the block. He's drawn a lot of genres, and he's pulled from his reality, which is he's still a character in a book, and asked to join the team because he's experienced with different genres. Another teammate is a cross between, and this is in Sean Gordon Murphy's own words. He's a cross between Ugly Kid Joe and Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. Like he's a little elvish looking character, wears the baseball hat backwards and is angry and a little bit racist. And he's older than all of them, but he's still a perpetual child, right? So he's like Pip the Troll a little bit. A little wisecracking thing. And then there's another character. His name is Roar. He's a giant cat man, but he's a shapeshifter. He can assume different body types and races and stuff. And what's cooler than a giant striped cat man with a massive sword? Like, that's cool. I want to see that. Sean Gordon Murphy drawing that? Yeah, give me more of that. There's a female vampire named La Razois, I'm guessing. It's a fun book, but the villain, so to speak. So in this universe, the crew of the Footnote are the only ones, they thought, that could jump into books. But turns out that there's this space worm type thing that can also do it, and they don't know why. So their enemy, as editors, is a bookworm. See what I mean? Like, what did that take? About 4 seconds to come up with? But that's okay. It's fun. It's drawn really cool. Do I need super deep, convoluted, Tolkien-esque, plot contrivances? No, I don't need that. Or I should have said Alan Moore, if you've read Jerusalem. But it's drawn amazingly well. My God, it's gorgeous. But it's kind of, it's kind of simple. And I don't mean that in little Jimmy Simple. It's just unadorned. The concepts are basic. If you love books and love reading them, all of these concepts, you're not going to be like, oh, well, that makes sense. They have a bookmark. It's a computer. It's fun. but one of the things that really has me excited, there's a preview in this issue for Sean Gordon Murphy's upcoming project. Guess what it is?
Moby Dick.
No, but you're not too far off the mark. Oof. Made my heart sing when I saw these preview pages, because I think there should be a comic on the stands featuring this character every month. Sean Gordon Murphy is going to be doing Zorro.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
These pages are gorgeous. Alex Toth would be proud. I'm just saying. So he not only has me for the remainder of the plot holes, he has me for his next project as well, which is Zorro. And I'm not shitting around. I think every month there should be a Phantom comic on the shelves. Zorro. Who else, Dap? Dick Tracy. There should be a Dick Tracy comic every month.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said Green Hornet.
Yeah, Green Hornet too. Let's get these great characters. Doc Savage.
The Pulp Resurgence.
Yes, let's get these great...
Dynamite tried it.
They did. They did, yes. But let's get these characters that actually set the template for everything to follow and bring them back, because we need them. We need them back in the limelight because they showed everybody how it's done. You would not have Superman without Doc Savage. You wouldn't. You wouldn't have Batman without Zorro. Or the Phantom.
Or the Shadow.
Or the Shadow, right? It's so many. See, the pulp characters are the elements on the periodic table of comics. All of the stuff that we have now are formed from all of these wonderful elements that came before. And I think we need them. We need these characters.
Needs them.
Yeah, I know you like to make light of my love for the pulp characters, but
man, I think it's cute.
Jim Steranko thought it was cute too, but he knows the score, man. The Steranko's History of Comics, both volumes pay homage to the pulp characters, because without them, we wouldn't have these characters. Would not have them.
You can't have that.
So yeah, I thought the plot holes was great. In a entertained me for a specific amount of time. It made me chuckle. It made me appreciative that Sean Gordon Murphy draws breath to produce artwork this beautiful. I thought it was a winner. Every comic does not have to reinvent the wheel, but this is a fun comic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes a comic can be just what it is and still be
right.
Right.
And Sean, if you're listening, or someone told you to listen to this, I wasn't making fun of it. I'm not belittling but I mean, the
haters gonna hate.
It is what it is, to quote a dear friend, and I enjoyed it for what it is. I think you should be reading this book if you like fun. If you don't like fun, then I don't know what you're doing listening to this.
That is true.
So true. This is an audio podcast.
Well, listen, speaking of fun comics and speaking of continuity, we had the great pleasure of having Kelly Thompson on the show a few weeks back. And we talked for quite a bit about Birds of Prey, which is her big DC book that was launched. And we got Birds of Prey this week. And I thought it was awesome.
Yes. Can I say something before you launch into it?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this at the shop today because Dave came up to me and he goes, "You want to see something?" And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "Look at this." Puts the Birds of Prey #1 in front of me and I look through it and he's like, "What do you see in those pages?" And I said, "I see Jaime Hernandez meets Steve Lieber." And he's like, when I said Jaime Hernandez, he pointed at me like Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time.
Yep.
And he goes, "Exactly." And he flips through it and he goes, "Look at this page." And I think it's Dinah getting out of bed or something. Mm-hmm. And the character looks like Maggie. Like, I don't know if it was Dinah. I don't know who it was, but it was a female character sitting on a bed.
I think it was Zealot.
Okay. And it looks like Maggie. And then there's another panel where she's bent over or something. I'm like, "Maggie, it looks like Maggie." And he's like, "Exactly." So I read his mind a little bit. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, I mean, I think that's a huge compliment, obviously, right? I mean, especially coming from you to compare his art to Hernandez is huge. I mean, I've always said that his art reminds me of the the Lieber one's a great call as well. But I think the Somni, Elsa Chartier, that's cool. Yeah. I've always been a big fan. But yeah, I mean, I thought this book, not surprisingly, because I like Kelly's style, was just awesome. It was exactly what you want from a first issue, right? You're setting up the team. You've got Black Canary as the leader, which makes sense, and she's kind of explaining to Oliver that she's got to go off on this very, very dangerous mission, and he can't help this time. And then she's got to recruit the team. And, we knew what the team would be based on the solicits and the cover image and the PR machine that has to roll these days. But nevertheless, I love getting the band together, and that's what this issue is all about. She's got to go and recruit, and you got Big Barda, you've got Cassie Kane, you've got Zealot, which is the really interesting one, right? Because we haven't really seen that concentration. And then you got Harley, who's the X Factor. And I just thought that the way they introduced each one, it reminded me of like the 70s and 80s, kung fu movies when you'd have to get the different fighter styles together to go on the big suicide mission. And it just was that kind of vibe. And I mean, I don't want to get too spoilery, but basically the mission is they need to rescue Sin, who, for those that might not know, is Dinah's sister. At least I don't know if it's blood, but adopted sister, stepsister. I don't know. You guys might. I don't know the connection in terms of whether it's blood or not. But she's her 16-year-old sister in the continuity currently, and she's got to go and rescue them. And you don't know where they're going. You just know it's going to be dangerous until the very last page, and you find out where in fact they have to go to rescue her, and it's like, oh shit, like, oh boy, this ain't gonna be easy. So I thought it was great, man. I thought the cadence was fun. I thought each of the characters were distinctive. I loved the way that Kelly wrote Harley, which I'm always curious about because it's not easy to write her, so yeah, I'm stoked. It's probably the most excited I've been for a new DC book in a while. So did you read it yet, Dap?
When you say Zealot, do you mean Zealot from Wildcats?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
No, I barely had a chance to start it, so I was really looking forward to hearing you talk about it to see where if I was going to get to it real soon or something.
Oh, you got to, dude. It's so much fun, and the art sings. I mean, the fight scenes and the choreography. It's wonderful. I really do think it's wonderful. I mean, it makes Harley Quinn a badass because like Dinah's like, oh, I don't know about Harley. Like she's a wild card, and Cassie Kane's like, exactly, and she almost beat me the other day. and not many people. Basically saying like if she can almost beat me, like she's worth having because she's unpredictable, and that's why she almost beat Cassandra, because Cassandra couldn't read her fighting style. And I just thought that was super cool. It's like, oh yeah, that would make sense. Like Harley's unpredictable, which makes her dangerous to someone to trained fighters who can, predict what people are going to do and fight them. So that makes a ton of sense. So yeah, I'm here for it, man. Barda, I love the way he draws Barda. She's, twice the size of the other women and kicks all kinds of ass and speaks very formally. Not quite. It was a little Draxy, like Drax from the movie, like in the way that Barda spoke. But it still worked for me. I really, like I said, I think it was just, I had very high expectations for it because I loved Birds of Prey when Gail Simone did it, and I love Kelly's work, and I think this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I'm going to have to buy the single because I thought it looked really good. Like I said, I didn't read it. All I can speak on was what I've seen in the pages, and it looked really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I hate like hell to give DC money, but if it's worth it, this is worth it. It's really well drawn. Yeah. Maybe I'm just an ass.
Nah.
Well, I mean, I look at what DC publishes, right? None of it speaks to me, and then something like this comes along, and it's like,
oh yeah,
holy crap! Now I got to give them money. I one of the things I really liked was, I don't know what the context was. Well, someone was fighting, and I think it was Barda, and all of the opponents were in black, like shadows. Like that's really cool. Graphically, that's pretty amazing. When you have one character that's in primary colors, and it's Barda who's commands attention, and you have all these things reaching for her, and they're all solid black. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, color play was awesome. I mean, I thought the book was a home run on every level.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Let's say I have to agree.
And kudos to Oliver, man, for still getting it done all these years later.
Yeah, I think that's a little played out. Like at this point, Oliver should be using he should have the pills and the pump and stuff. And there's no way that. Come on, he's older than Bruce.
Do you need pills and pumps?
Hell no. I'm Sicilian.
Oh my God. That was exactly that came up last Thursday at the little staff happy hour they throw once a month, and the Minion is Sicilian, and we were talking about
my dude.
Yeah, we were talking about how many. Oh, because I was one of the only few white people there, and there was and a conversation and a topic came up, and Renee was trying to break it down, and she referenced, like, of all the things to make the point to, I think she picked a show where the cast was primarily white, and I asked her if she chose that so that the three white dudes here would be comfortable with the reference, and the Minion turns to me and goes, "Bro, I'm Sicilian." I was like, "Oh, all right, my bad."
Oh my God, that's what I say.
Yes, it is. That's why I was like, I can't. I gotta go. I'm done.
I'm not white. I'm Sicilian. I've said that 100 times. It's true. I've said that 100 times on this show.
You have? No, I know.
You have, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
They tried to put us on the island. Ha ha! We showed them.
Jesus.
Right?
You sure did.
Yeah.
Can't take that away from you.
Can't
take that away from me.
So as Vince said recently, after I read the first issue, and then Vince flipped through the first issue, the second issue of Scrapper came out recently. Story by Cliff Blazinski and Alex DeCampi, art by Ryan Kelly, with colors by Jordi Belair. Second issue, I think I enjoyed it more than the first. The first was, of course, setting up the world and introducing you to some of the characters, but uh, with the big doings at the end of the first issue, um, with Scrapper's Scrapper dealing with loss and finding out that this collar um, is connected to the big bad that's kind of like overseeing everything. He needs to. He's the bad guys basically killed his humans, and he's got this collar on that can kind of turn him into a weapon. So he needs to get rid of it, and he needs to kind of basically exact revenge and bring down the big bad. So he's makes Scrapper makes its way to his buddy Tank's place. Tank is it's a bit of a it's not quite a bulldog, bit of a pity mix, but they're they're making their way through the city and under the city. They have to go through the sewers to get to where they need to get to. But the rats obviously control the underground. So Tank steals a pizza and brings it and shows the Rat King that listen, I basically, here's tribute so we can pass. We need to get to District 6. So we bring pizza to show Rat Spect, and the Rat King's all like, oh, okay. And Tank's like, yeah, pepperoni, extra cheese. He's like, oh, okay, well, extra cheese, then all right, you may pass. And they do. They make their way, and they show up at Founders Square, which is kind of like Times Square. But this is how crazy this world is, and basically you're kind of so Smite, which is the organization, SMITE, they have exciting indenture opportunities for parents and children alike. If a family of 4 starts now, you can work off what you owe and be ready to borrow again for the holidays. And you can get grandma working too. It's like they just just have their heel on everybody's necks, and so of course
not at all
a revolution
like the way we live in.
No, not at all. There's so something's got to change. Something's got to give. Hopefully, that's the direction we're heading in. The pigeons get involved because they realize that that Scrapper is one of the good guys, and they're just and they know that the Scrapper is a friend of the pigeons, and they're also they seem to have one-track minds. They're almost like flying goldfish. They're just like they're running around saying hi, flying around saying hi, asking, "What are you doing here? Why are you out in daylight?" The officers show up, ready to pounce on Scrapper, but Tank's like, "Listen, if you wanted to impress Scrapper, you'd steal that tracker that they're using to follow us and smash it." And the pigeons are like, "Oh shit, yeah, we're gonna steal," and they're all just like. All of them are just flying around saying steal, 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 steal. And that's the whole panel. Scrapper does free some kids that are like in cages, but by doing so, he uses the collar to cut through the steel, because the collar's got a bunch of little gadgets and weapons in it. So it has a laser that he uses to cut the lock. The kids are free. And now, of course, the officers not only have the pigeons to deal with, but now they have these escaped kids. Scrapper and Tank are making a run for it. They free some grown-ups in another cage while they're doing it. But now the officers have caught up to them and start firing tranks. And one of them, well, more than one of them, hit Scrapper. While he's fighting off the Tranks, one of the pigeons that stole it, that managed to grab the tracker from the officer, gets to Scrapper. Scrapper destroys it, and then the pigeons start crapping all over the officers while Tank and Scrapper get out of town. And now the Tranks are starting to hit him. He's feeling the effects, and everything's getting all trippy. It's like a night at the loft, and now we're just making our way through the rest of the city. They get to the roof of a building, and Scrapper's finally he's worn out. The tranquilizers have taken effect, and he's knocked out on his feet. But they do get to where they need to get to. This young lady who knows Tank. She's like, I haven't seen you in a bit though, and asked if Scrapper's okay, and Tank's like, no. And this is great. So this black woman, her name is actually Renee. So Tank's like, no, Scrapper isn't. So but he's another Smite lab escapee. Renee recognizes the collar around Scrapper's neck. And so since they need to get the tracker off of Scrapper, Renee says, okay, we have to we'll get Daisy to take care of it, and Daisy's basically a hacker raccoon, and Daisy's not happy about being interrupted from her coding, and that's the end of the second issue. So it's moving. It's a pretty quick pace. Like I said, the first issue was a setup. This issue is basically nonstop action from start to finish, just getting from point A to B. I'm really interested to see who else we're going to be introduced to as this limited series makes its way to its conclusion. But this was a lot of fun. It's nothing, it's not necessarily, it's not going to break the world, but it's a fun diversion from anything else that you might be reading right now. We had Marvel's Unleashed last week, and that was a lot of fun. There's a nice little they're kind of they're a little bit on the bookendsy kind of vibe they got going on, but I dug it a lot. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this series is going to continue, but I'm having fun with it. I really am. I didn't know if it was just going to be one of those kind of gimmicky books where he was a video game dude who's writing the story, and it's about a dog, and who doesn't love dogs? But there's an actual there's some weight here. There's a story that's pretty entertaining and engrossing to a degree.
To a degree. Mm-hmm. The lock.
Well, only because I'm not. It's not like it's not Watchmen, obviously, but yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, that's
still,
what I was.
There's
Right,
still
that's
enough here, right?
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I don't want every comic to be Watchmen.
Exactly.
Reading would be a trudge. The lock for me on Scrapper is the moire, the dot pattern in the color.
Yeah, those are great.
That's the lock.
Especially, yeah. The second issue's got a lot of that.
If you tip your hat to the old school, I kind of love you and would buy you a drink. But
yeah, love the colors a lot. I like what Jordy's
it's
doing.
very nice. The rendering is really sharp. Yeah, like it a lot. I think it's a worthwhile read.
I like it a lot.
As I always do every Wednesday, I jumped into the dollar bin.
There we go.
Yeah, Dave got kind of mad because I kind of crumpled some of the books, but I jumped in anyway. And it's really...
Well, if they're packed in a box, right, they won't get crumpled.
It's very strange that I would pick 3 books housed in different long boxes. Here's the way he works it. He has an amazing inventory of stuff. And Dave is one that doesn't like to leave money on the table. So what he does is he has his employees pull back issues that are languishing in boxes in the back room or wherever in storage, and he populates his long boxes with them for $1 a pop. Last week, he had Dark Horse Comics Presents. He had the Sin City issues in there for $1 a piece. And I'm like, Dave, he's like, that's about what they're going for. He's like, nobody wants those. So I'm like, oh, so okay. So I didn't buy them because I have them. And, you know, I would like to see somebody else gain who hasn't read those. But anyway, so I'm going through the box today and I'm picking stuff. And after I got home, I'm like, wait a minute. All 3 of these books are from a very, very narrow window in Image Comics history. Specifically, March of 1993. Now, in 93, Image was still published by Malibu. They were still under that Malibu umbrella. And I had forgotten just how deeply ingrained in the Image universe Don Simpson was at this time.
Oh.
I had forgotten because within the space of 2 months, right, because this other one is April 93. Within the space of 2 months, we got 3 books, either wholly or in part drawn by Don Simpson, featuring Image Comics characters and creators. The books in question, Splitting Image number 1 and 2, and Savage Dragon versus the Savage Megaton Man. I was like, holy crap, Don Simpson was like lodged in Image at this point. 3 books in the space of 2 months out of the, what? And then I'm reading them, or I already had them. And thing was, I forgot my phone today, so I couldn't check the CLZ to see if I had them. But for $1 a pop, whatever, I bought them again. And the real neat thing about Savage Dragon versus Savage Megaton Man is Larson draws all the Savage Dragon characters, and Simpson draws the Megaton Man characters. And,
that's fun.
And their chapters. Yeah, it's like a primer for Image United, kind of. Yeah, right. But to see Larson and Simpson on the same page, this issue is absolute GOLD gold. It is large, bombastic. The panels are massive. The action is constant. Guns a-blazing, fists flying. It is amazing. There's a double page spread that is vertical, so you got to turn the book, and it's just amazing. And I was like, man, Simpson is still great, but I always forget poor old Don. He's one of those guys that I just loved everything he ever drew.
Yeah.
Right? Megaton Man, Border Worlds, Wendy Whitebread, like whatever he put out, I would buy it and love it. And there's an advertisement in this issue. Get the fabulous fine art print by Don Simpson, featuring 44 major characters from Don's mega hero universe, soon to be seen in the graphic super saga Bizarre Heroes, the Apocalypse affiliation. It was a 15 by 24 print, signed and numbered, limited to only 750. Comes in a custom 2-ply poly bag and will be shipped in a sturdy cardboard tube. Whatever. But the characters, you get, of course, Phantom Jungle Girls in here, Tyranno Man, the Meddler, the Slick, Wendy Whitebread's even in it, right? Forbidden Frankenstein, Jetstream, like all of the characters. There's Megaton Man, Yarn Man's in it, of course, Megaton Man, Preston Percy, Rex Rigid, like all of the characters that Simpson created, all in one print. And I was like, what the hell was I doing when this was offered? Because it was only $20. and add $5 to cover shipping and handling. And you shipped it right to his P.O. box, which was awesome. But I need this print, and I'm wondering, I'm assuming that this thing still exists somewhere, like on eBay. I could probably find it if I wanted it. It is something that I would love to have. And this comic that I picked up for $1 jogged my memory. Really cool thing about it, another really cool thing, is that in the back there are pinup pages where they switch roles. Megaton Man is drawn by Eric Larson, and Savage Dragon is drawn by Don Simpson.
Nice.
Really, really neat. Really neat. And then there's the back page. It's an advertisement for WildStar, which was WildStar was great.
Yeah,
It was
very good way.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was like one of those series that was like, hot damn, this is really going somewhere.
It's on his chest. He's alive.
And it was violent and brutal and unlike the stuff we were getting from Marvel and DC at that time, right? But Jason, have you read Splitting Image?
That was the period of time, the only period of time in my life where I wasn't really reading the comics because of college. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly it's based on an idea by Rob Liefeld and Don Simpson, but I'm guessing Simpson did a lot of the heavy lifting here because it's all drawn by Simpson, but it's parodies of the Image creators and their characters.
Aha.
So you got Lotus G, is Jim Lee, God McFarthing, Brat Lifeguard. For some reason, Eric Larson didn't want his likeness or name parodied because whenever we get to Eric, it's a character with a white sphere for a head and its name withheld.
I remember that. Yes.
And Eric says, I'm the loose cannon of the group. I fearlessly shoot up my mouth at the drop of a hat from behind a cloak of anonymity.
Wow, bro, can't take a joke.
No, that might have been a that might have been a jab at Peter David's "But I Digress" column.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Well, then where's Larson in all this? Because next up we got...
No. I'm saying that was Larson, but I think there was
not
necessarily a beef, but I don't know. I think maybe I'm trying to remember. I don't know if Peter David wrote in one of his columns that somebody basically couldn't man up and had to be like anonymous or name withheld in sending a letter to or responding to one of his columns. And I think the implication was that was Larson who wrote to him.
Oh, nice. Okay. But Brat Lifeguard has a bowl cut and he's got
yes, he's a gap tooth.
He's got buck teeth. Next up we got Val J. Tasmania, who is a feral motherfucker, like a werewolf. And of course, that is the creator of Shadowhawk, of course. Then we have Sly Virility for Mark Silvestri. And poor old Wilt Portacio is called Wilt, what's his name?
Oh, damn.
But then later on in the series, they call him Wilt Pistachio.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
It's fucked up. But they just make fun of Marvel, and eventually their own characters. They
big roast book.
Yeah, Jim Lee, aka Lotus G, has a computer that makes his comics. He just pumps ideas into them, and the computer comes up with all the artwork. There's a real vicious, scathing attack on Marvel. They're called the Marginal Comic Book Conglomerate, and all of the Image creators are in Marvel, and they're taking a tour, and the person speaking to them is drops Excelsior and Pilgrims and all that shit, and he shows them action figures based upon characters that they designed and drew. And the Liefeld analog says, hey, these are based on all the new characters recreated for Marginal. And the Larson one says, cool. And I'm guessing Stan says, yes, and they've done quite well for us. We've made a mint. Liefeld asks, can I have one? And Stan says, sure, for $12.95 each. And then they get pissed off, and Liefeld tries to attack Stan. And it's a lot of fun. But all drawn in amazing style by Simpson. They don't only take themselves and Marvel to task, but their characters. Prophet is called Profit, Profit. Rip Seam, because her costume keeps shredding. Shaft is called Shave. And Badrock is the funniest, because Badrock has a plastic pail and little tiny shovel that you take to the beach with you, lodged to his head. It's great. All for $1. This stuff. Well, and Savage Dragon's pretty scathing because he's a transvestite, and he wears fishnets and a brassiere and lipstick. Ooh. Yeah, it's nuts. But this was great. I loved it a lot. It's like, what? Your character breaks spines? And I'm like, yeah, cool. Spawn is called Spasm because he has bad anatomy. But it's very clever. It's very clever. And who better? I mean, there's only one other person I would like to see draw this, and this would be Hilary Barta. I think Hilary would do a great job on it. But we have Don Simpson, and it's archived, and it's wonderful. And it only cost me $1 per issue. So for $3, I have something that gave me the giggles, and will continue to do so. And like I said, I already have them, but they are buried somewhere in a short box. I don't even know where. And for me to even remember it, not only go to find it, would be impossible. So I love the dollar bins. I tell Dave every week, I say, I love these dollar bins. They're the best. I don't mind buying stuff that I already have, because the chances of me rereading it are slim to none, because I'd have to, I'd have to find the issue, and I don't have my collection organized by box number. I should, but I don't. So if you asked me to find a particular issue, it would take me forever, because I'd have to go through all the boxes. Sometime in the near future, maybe during the winter months when things slow down, I'll fire up the CLZ and I'll actually organize my collection by box. That would be great.
Ooh,
because I don't have like one box of Swamp Thing or 2 boxes or 3 boxes of Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is spread out among hundreds of short boxes. So that's on me. That's pretty stupid. But if I wanted to get Spider-Man 121, I wouldn't know where to look for it. It's in there somewhere, but I can't find it because I don't have them organized. So maybe that's a project for a future date. Yeah. So much fun, Dap, right?
Absolutely.
Splitting Image.
Yep. Want me to send them to you? So you can read something good?
I mean, listen, you can bring them in a couple weeks when you're at my crib.
Can't wait. I can't wait to see you guys.
Same.
Oh, dude, it's been a year.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. I've decided that because it's been so long and we haven't been in the con scenario, New York Comic Con 2023 could be a terrible shit show, and it's not going to affect me. We're going to
have a blast.
We're going to have fun. We're going to chat up our booze. I'm going right over. As soon as we see Daniel Warren Johnson, I'm going up, giving him a big ass hug.
He's not going to be there, bro.
He's going to be there as a person, not as.
No, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So I just can't wait. Sanford hopefully will be there. Like all of our friends, we're just going to have.
Artist out of the list came out today, actually. Like it just came out.
And,
yeah, I want to be surprised. I didn't look at it.
No, I didn't. I didn't look at the list, but I do know that when I was scrolling earlier, Mahmoud is doing the cover for the program again this year, and he said what table he'll be at. So I'm hoping I'll maybe this year I'll grab a program and get him to sign the cover.
Oh, there you go.
I think he would love that a lot if you did that.
I mean, a lot of the programs will usually have a photo on the cover, so there's nothing to do. But I mean, I just thought of it when he posted the image because it's a really cool looking Marvel centric image with all the with Peter Spider-Man and Miles Spider-Man and I think Miss Marvel. So it's a cool looking cover. I like the way it looks, but since he's drawing it, and we always make a point to at least he's always busy. Like he's got a line, he's got shit to sign, he's got commissions to do. I get it, and I'm happy. I'm so happy for him. But he always does pick his head up, comes around the table, says hi to us. He
all the time.
Yes, so he is absolutely. He's always been a highlight of every New York we go to, and he's there. I light up. It's great to see him because I know. The travel's got to be a bitch and a half, so it's just great for him to be here, and if he's drawing the cover, then shit, yeah, why don't I'll angle to get it signed this year.
So is he now done with the DC dalliance? He's back at Marvel, like, because didn't he do Batman or something?
He did the Batman versus Robin book. DC.
I didn't hear any of that.
I think he's still.
You mean the more recent one? Yeah, I was gonna say he was at DC for it. Yeah,
because he did the Super. When New 52 Supergirl.
I mean, he's I assume he's just a freelancer these days, capable of going wherever he wants to go, right?
Yeah, he's too good to be.
Yeah.
Sucks that Marvel lost Conan because that Conan run was glorious.
Oh, it really was. Yeah.
I think Mahmoud was born to draw Conan. Regardless of he thinks of his own life course.
He was so excited to draw it himself. Like he was legit. It wasn't like, because when you're working for the big two, they come at you with a project. Maybe you don't have any choice, or even if you do, you're like, okay, whatever. But he was legit. Like that was like a career project for him. He loved it. So.
Like Steggy. Right? It's like, Steggy, what are you doing? I'm drawing Wolverine. Really? Yeah, it's the exoskeleton Wolverine. It's like,
I
know. It's like, oh no.
I'm drawing Spider-Man. Who is it? It's Doc Ock.
Yeah. Poor Steggy.
I'm drawing the Avengers with Havoc and Rogue.
Yeah. It's the best Avengers ever.
And Deadpool.
But he came out on top.
He did all right for himself, yeah.
Yeah. No one's crying a river for him.
I think the Stegman story in Marvel Age 1000 is the saving grace of that book.
Oh, okay.
If it wasn't, if that wasn't in that book, the book would be absolutely, it would be a whiff. Not to poo-poo anybody that actually worked on that, but from my perspective, the Stegman story was the best.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Jason, are you reading The Incredible Hulk?
No, not as of yet. I mean, I'm not like avoiding it per se. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
You didn't read any of it yet?
No. I mean, initially I wasn't in on it because of
PKJ.
PKJ, but then you guys both said it was
right.
It was up to snuff. So,
Jason, you know who's coming up in issue 4?
Domino.
Even better.
Even better. The best character ever to come out of Marvel Comics, next to Spider-Man, after Spider-Man.
Bronze Age Marvel.
Ooh,
it's not Cable.
That's not
Bronze Age. You said a Bronze Age, so
yeah. I mean, there's only 2 for Vince that would have come out from that era. So
Venom.
No, Venom's not bronze. You jerk.
Yeah, I thought you said. Well, no, you did because Cable wasn't Bronze Age either. That's
no. It's not. I said it's not Cable. Man-Thing. Okay. Man-Thing is coming in Incredible Hulk number 4. My God.
Is he still like ruling Weird World with what's her name, or is he back?
He looks like he's back.
I don't know the continuity.
Welcome back, Man-Thing.
I don't pay attention. Last thing I knew, he was the Thunderbolts' personal gateway. That he would teleport the Thunderbolts around. That's the last
that
thing.
Was that the Warren Ellis run?
Maybe. I don't know. Hi, cutie.
Oh, the pussy.
You get the pussy. You did the baby. Who rips me to shreds. Yeah, I guess I deserve it. But so I didn't read issue 3, but I've been told to read it. But I haven't, so I'm going to get to it. But I heard there's a text page in it.
Is there? Yes. Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Oh, did I like the issue? Yes. I mean, it the fucking Klein's art is phenomenal, of course, but
It's stupid
it's
good.
it's there's a couple double page spreads which are always great. Some talking. I did like it. I don't.
Whoa!
Charlie,
What is that?
no, Charlie's got to grow on me because it's a
Like
kid, and it's
exactly, and you hate
obviously she's not a
kids.
slacker, but it's like it's yes, I hate kids, but it's just it's and listen, she's seen some shit. She's had some troubles of her own, no
She's
doubt.
been abused by her
Yes,
father.
absolutely. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying she doesn't have a reason to be angry or wanting to get out or make a change in her life. She absolutely should. I just I I just need to remember that when you have a headstrong kid like this, um, they're going to do stupid shit in order to get their way, and that's the kind of thing that I just like in real life. I can't. I can't. I have a hard time sitting through that. So seeing someone do this to the Hulk, I'm just like But listen, it's it moves the story along. It works. I'm in the minority here, and that's fine. But it is it's a great issue. Well, yeah, I'm in the minority for not liking
No,
it,
every
but
time you say it's fine, I think of that dog sitting at the table with the burning room behind him.
we use that at work all the
This is
fucking time.
fine. It's fine.
This is fine. This is fine. It's fine here. But no, I like the issue a lot. It's basically I mean, the second and third issue are it's just a two-part story. So I mean, we're PKJ is not he's not he doesn't look like he's trying to pad it out for some 12 issue trade. He's telling a story and it's moving along, and I'm happy about that.
I mean, let's be honest. Charlie is the Rick Jones to this version of the Hulk. Like she's
Yeah.
the impetuous
Yeah.
kid. Remember what
Yeah,
Rick
'cause, I
Jones
mean,
did?
even Rick Jones, he's an idiot. Fucking, I'm gonna just pluck the guitar over here by this fucking nuclear
Exactly.
test site.
Like a
It's,
dumbass.
yeah.
He was, a mutog. So
An idiot from Riverdale.
the the cycle of life, right? It just keeps
Yeah.
repeating, and it's okay. I like the fact that it's a female this time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
it's great.
Oh,
you know?
so Charlie is a
Charlie's a
young
female.
female sidekick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cast in the Rick Jones mold. Like, she's, like Dap says, stuff has happened to her. Dad abused her. She's got the scars to prove it. And she just wants out. She just wants to see the world. That's exactly what Rick Jones was doing back in the early days of the Hulk.
The
Plucking his little
difference is-
guitar on the hood of a car while the fucking gamma bomb goes off, right?
Charlie gloms on to Hulk because Hulk is the strongest there is, and
Power, yeah.
she's feeding off that strength to be like, if I had your strength, nobody would fuck with me, and so the part of me is just waiting for her to, maybe I just figure she's just going to be evil, and that's just, or I don't know, but it's a feeling I have because she's not, obviously Banner is warning her, stay away, don't be near me, you're going to get hurt, nothing good comes out of me, so just go live your life.
Right.
And I'm at an age right now where I'm just I get illogically frustrated when people don't listen to and we did it when we were kids, when you don't listen to the people who have experience and are trying to warn you of the dangers that are coming if you go down this path. And here's Banner, who was like, hey, don't follow me. And Charlie's like, no, I know better. And it's like, you don't. But and so something is going to happen to her, and something actually almost happens to her in the third issue, which you'll see. But it's so. But obviously she's here. She's part of the story. There's a reason for her existence. So I'm fine with it. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, okay, it's Hulk with another sidekick, and that's cool. It's just that she's at an age where I'm just like, oh my god, really? So it's fine.
Why do you hate kids so much? Charlie did nothing to you. If anything, she
really
should.
did.
She
She
should.
really did.
She should command your sympathy because she's had a rough life.
Yeah, I know.
But you just hate. You're just so
I do.
full of hate.
If it was a three-legged dog, though, forget about it, man. It'd be the best.
Really,
Of the year.
the dog could have ripped out a baby's throat. Oh,
Look at that
you
dog.
little baby.
I mean, listen, you can understand where he's coming from. He's had a hard life.
Right. A three-legged dog. What is this, Alice in Chains? My God.
One eye.
You fucking rooster.
Shit. I got this song in my head. Fuck you. I hate you.
Yeah, I know you do. But that's okay. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Jason, do you have anything else to talk about? Or you
Yeah,
got a lot of
listen,
books on your list.
I know. Way back in the day, I, like many, started reading Giant Days as it was coming out. And, Dap, I forget, did you read any of it?
I did not.
Okay. And I read, like, the first 2 or 3 trades worth, and I enjoyed it, but just as we are wont to do, because comics and Regina and the show and all that, I just fell behind and then stopped reading it and then stopped ordering it. But it was never because I didn't like what I read. So some time ago, I guess it was probably a few months back, the creative team behind the book, John Allison and Max Sarin, had actually, I think it was through Boom. So Boom was the publisher. Boom did a Kickstarter for the complete collection in hardcover. So it was 7 hardcovers, and I backed it, and it arrived last week, and it's glorious. First of all, I mean, putting aside the story for a second, I got to give Boom credit because they. Like it came in, first of all, the 7, I'll try and take a picture of it and post it on the Slack, but the 7, I might have actually already done so in the Kickstarter thread. The books are all different colors, but of course, because it's a collected set of hardcovers, they're all, the same trade dress, same design. So I just, the shelf porn nerd in me just loves that. Like I have these 7 beautiful books, multicolored, that all now go together. And it collects the entire run of the series, which was 54 numerical issues and then a final end cap issue called As Time Goes By. And the book came out originally in 2011 and ran all the way through 2019, October 2019. So kind of just right before the pandemic. And it's a simple story. I mean, there's not a lot to it. Kind of, maybe that's the theme of tonight. It is a story about 3 young women who are roommates and best friends, and are attending university in the UK. Allison is a British writer, for those that don't know. So most of his stories are set in fictional places in England. And they attend the University of Sheffield, which, from the way they write about it in the book, it's supposed to be a pretty prestigious school, and it's 3 lead characters. Esther de Groot, who is she's like a goth girl, and she's all like, there's chaos ensues around her, but she very much means well. And then there's Susan Ptolemy, and as you might guess from that name, she is the deep, grounded one. She's a med student. And then there's Daisy Wooten, who is she's a biracial girl with glasses, and she studies archaeology, so she's a bit of a nerd. She's also super sweet, but she's confused about her sexuality. And the story over those 55 issues is basically about their life at school. So very much it is a slice of life book, but it's just incredibly fun. I mean, it's one of those books where, as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, well, okay, Vince is going to go pee while I talk about this. And Dap needs to read every page of it, because, I mean, this is totally up your alley, David. It's very much like many of the books that, we've kind of celebrated in this ilk over the years. And I don't see why you wouldn't love this one too. But it's I say there's not a lot to it because it really is just like journeys in their life, falling in love, getting embarrassed, going to parties, having trouble with class, having trouble affording school, getting a job to pay for school. It reminds me a lot, and this comic precedes the show I'm about to mention, but it reminds me a lot of the Sex Lies of College Girls, which is a show on Max. I was going to say HBO, but Mindy Kaling's the showrunner, and it's about a quartet of young women who attend an Ivy League school and get in all kinds of hijinks. It's very much of that vein. So if you've watched that show, this is a comic version of that. You'll love it. But again, I don't want to make it sound like this is derivative of that, because this predates that show by many years. So I haven't read all 7 volumes yet, but this weekend, just sitting out with my lovely wife, we were reading. It was nice weather. I ended up reading the first 4 volumes. So I reread obviously part of that, and then I read new stuff. So I think, let's see, the first 4 volumes I think take me through issue 32 out of 55. And it's just great. It's a quick, fun read. Max Sarin's art style's terrific. It's very much cartoony in not dissimilar to like a Kyle Starks vibe, right? Little more rounded than that, but on point. Just enough lines on the page to tell the story, right? Like, it's not going to be this hyper detailed kind of thing. And I think it's wonderful. And I really think that the trade dress and the package they put together for this makes it all the more special. You can get it lots of other ways. I'm sure you can get the trades, or I'm sure the single issues are easy to track down. But it's a series that I think was pretty well celebrated by a certain segment of the comics community, because at the time there weren't many books geared towards 20-something women, and that's what I think this was a target audience for. But I guess as a almost 50-year-old man, I think I'm evidence that the book spans beyond that intended target audience.
It does look great. Yeah, because Boom has a preview of the first volume, I guess, of the trade, and I remember when it was coming out. And yeah, it was just one of those things where I think by the time it was well underway. By the time I had any desire to see what everybody was talking about.
And as predicted, Vince must be peeing.
Yeah, normally he'll let us know.
No, I'm
Dude,
not.
It's on brand. He went and he went and peed as soon as he heard me say
I did not pee. I'm actually emailing Josh Bayer right now. Yeah, because something messed up his night, and he emailed me, and so I'm gonna see if I can't connect with him right now, just so we can touch base, tell him how much we love him, and get this thing done. We don't have to go all in, but trying to
because we're not in London.
Didn't connect. Oh well.
Hey.
That can happen.
It happens. It happens. But you
Does
know
he
what?
got the same ISP as Fabian Nicieza?
No, because Vince is trying to connect. So we have. So yeah, I mean, we all know that New York isn't ideal for shopping so much, except for our boy with the magazines. But
Jason,
I will keep an eye out for Heroes next year for Giant Days, because I know the Kickstarter. Yeah, I did see the Kickstarter, and they had some fantastic perks. Those tiers were slamming. But
yeah, and to be fair, it was not it was. Even though I think they did a great job with it, and like I said, they gave a ton of other, like, they gave bookmarks and posters and buttons and like all kinds of swag. I mean, I don't, as you guys know, I'm not super into the swag myself, but like, I think in terms of the kinds of things you get as extras in these packages, they definitely hooked it up. But it was not an inexpensive purchase. Like, if you hadn't had any experience with Giant Days before, it would have been hard to confidently plunk down $180, which is what the 7 volumes cost. So
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll look for the trades at Heroes, if not sooner.
Yeah. No, but you're right, Jason. You're dead on. I probably wouldn't read this, but glad you enjoyed it.
No doubt.
Yeah. That adds nothing to the conversation. But,
well, listen, we all know each other well enough that sometimes you read something and you get excited because you want to turn the other people's onto it. And then other times you're reading something, you're thinking, oh, this would not be that person's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought when I was reading the first issue of Scrapper. I'm like, Dap is going to eat this shit up. And I knew it. Like, we know each other. We know what we love, and we know what doesn't attract us. And that's okay. Right?
That is okay.
I like to tease you about your young girl coming to terms with her sexuality books. But there's a little bit of...
It is what it is.
Right? There's a little bit of truth in that, right? And like a lot of the stuff that I read, you will not touch. And that's okay. That's all right. Okay. I was pleased that you at least attempted, or I'm sure you read it all, Unended, right? Because,
oh, yeah. Well, listen, I love Bear. I mean, you turned me on to Bear years ago, but I'm a fan of his. I've got a few commissions from him. I think he's great. I mean, he's an incredibly creative person. You know, I mean, his work is challenging, but in all the right ways.
He's the Wolverine of comics. He's the best. He's the best there is at what he does.
You know, I was gonna say, just in keeping with the young women coming of age thing. I mean, Dap, I think this is right in the same vein as Axel Lenoir stuff. And that's your
okay. Girl. Okay, yeah.
You know, it's racy. It's probably a little less overtly sexual than Axel at times, but like it's still racy. I mean, they get their, you know, like it's not. You know, this isn't like a preteen type of a thing. This is, you know, this is grown ass women in college having grown ass lives. You know.
Okay. I know that the second volume of Secret. No, the next volume of. Well, actually, no. What If They Were is on its way. But the Secret Passages was getting a slight delay because of the English translation. But she's working on it, so hopefully we'll get that soonish. Because yeah, I could. There's just something about that art style. It makes my heart sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to report that you were not breaking up at all during the journey.
Oh, this is lovely.
You did not. Yeah, no, you were great.
So maybe the cord is helping, but the being next to the fan's not running right now. So maybe
that's why it's nice and quiet.
So if I can get a laptop, the fan doesn't overclock.
It's
then
not
I'll be good.
the fan. It's not.
It might not be the fan, but it is quiet. We don't hear the wind behind it.
No, but there is something. There's still some type of interference.
I don't know. Could be the gamma rays. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so vexed last episode. Remind me, did I talk about Convoy on the episode or not?
Convoy.
I didn't, right?
No, because you mentioned because Vince asked what it was, and I said it's a magnetic book, but I don't know how. I don't think you got very far
because I was breaking up, and then I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was.
I was like, "I'm not gonna." All right,
but it was mentioned. But yeah, I don't know about it.
Okay. Yeah. No. That book was part of a 2-volume as you guys know this, but for our listeners, Magnetic, who we talk about a lot, they've been doing a thing probably like the last 2 or 3 years where when they do Kickstarters, they usually do like a tandem book, a pair of books, and it's usually like by the same European creators. And that was the case with this. They did a Kickstarter for 2 books called Convoy and Mezcal, Mezkal, and the reason they solicited them together are the same creative team. Both were written by Kevin Stevens and illustrated by Jeff. That's just the creator's name is JEF. And when they solicited these, they said they pitched it as a Grindhouse double feature. So I had intended last week to talk about Convoy because I read it and it was it was terrific. What?
I hate to interrupt you, but we have Josh.
I'm here. Hi.
Yay! There he is.
Hey,
everybody.
Awesome, because sorry, Jason. We went into the episode talking up Unended, so we did cover it a little bit, but now that you're here, we can get
thrilled
into
to
it
be here. Thank you.
a little more. You're looking awesome, my man.
Thank you.
Look at that.
I had a really hectic night.
Sorry about that. You can, for your own benefit, you can turn off the video if you want, because it's strictly audio.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was nice to see you. I mean,
yeah, good to see you too.
but
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while. For those of you guys playing at home, this guy is a Renaissance man. He's a writer, a storyteller, an artist without peer. We've talked about his work here many times. Raw Power, Theth, of course, the all-time comic stuff, the ROM stuff that he's done, the Abysmalation anthology of collected short works. But he has a new book, and it's called Unended. And man, Josh, I got to say, it is some powerful, dense, heady stuff. I went into the episode saying it's like being hit by an Ignatz brick thrown by God. It is really. And I love the contents page where you're actually being pelted by a brick being thrown by God.
But yeah, I got really obsessed with that image. I repeated it a few times in the book. I think there's an arm throwing something on maybe the slipcover too.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I do that a couple of times.
Wait a minute, this comes with a slipcover? What edition is that?
It comes. We had 400 copies printed with a slipcover, and I haven't seen those yet. They're on their way. I should see them at SPX. It was kind of cool. The Uncivilized, they normally have authors do a, what do they call it, a book plate. And I said, well, what's a book plate? And they said, well, it's kind of like a tiny book-sized poster. And I thought to myself, that's the type of thing that I would lose track of, and months later I'd find it and be like, well, do I use it as a bookmark? Do I frame it? And I'm already kind of bursting at the seams with books. So I'm afraid it's the type of thing that wouldn't have enough of a use. So I said, well, can we do a slipcase? And they agreed to it. And yeah, that's my understanding. I also insisted that we do it as a paperback book. And normally Uncivilized does hardcover, but to me, soft covers feel more like comics. So that was the slipcover also kind of dresses that up, so I can kind of have something look fancy but also be as accessible as a comic.
Wow, and that's just an XPX thing?
Oh no, it'll be available through my website. It's available through Uncivilized. I charge $10 extra for the slipcover, but I was just going to give them away for the first couple hundred readers, but I had to spend a grip of money to get. I just spent like $300 to get copies to SPX to sell.
Right.
So it's my way of kind of breaking even a little bit.
My dude, I want one with the slipcase. So just casually knock one to the side because I got to have it. Yeah. I got to say, I mean, we all read the book, but there were times, many times, during the reading of this thing where I felt like I was a voyeur. I felt like I maybe was listening in on a conversation that I shouldn't be, or, observing an interaction that was a little too uncomfortable, because it's raw, it's real. There's a realism in this book that is weight. There's weight to it. It's heady, and you carry it with you after you close the cover. And I thought, well, I knew Josh as a creator before this, but now I feel like I know you even better, because this book is really about not only your father, but this is a book about you.
Right.
And now I know many things make more sense to me, like the fact that you're straight edge, and the fact that you launch yourself into work constantly. And now I kind of know why, right? Through all these events that you detail in the book. It makes so much sense.
Tell me why.
That well, yeah, I know you're being funny, but the one scene that really stuck with me is the interaction with your dad, where you're expending all this creative energy into making comics. And you're like, Dad, I made a new comic. I want to show you. And he's just like, yeah, just leave it on the nightstand, whatever. And inevitably, the Charlie Brown syndrome, which was brilliant, by the way, that you compare yourself to Charlie Brown trying to kick that damn football. The repeated results are always unfavorable, yet you keep pounding against that wall to try and get some kind of acknowledgement from your dad. And he just keeps flipping the book at you. And I was like, oh, so no wonder you have like this Puritan work ethic on steroids where you're just constantly making stuff and constantly creating. It's just to scream to the world, like, I exist. Here I am. Take notice. Right? Am I off base with that?
No, not at all. That's all those things ring a bell. That is, yeah. My parents, they, if they wanted to create an obsessed comic book maker, they couldn't have done a better job. They couldn't have stirred up a bigger nest of bees in me, because at the point where I was the most obsessed with comics, they would, they like really policed me like it was some kind of, really like something from another era. You know, most parents, especially these days, their kids are into what they're into and it's in the background, and as long as they're entertaining themselves. My parents would literally tell me that this stuff is not normal, that you're too obsessed with it. Your job, my dad would say, you have a job, it's to go to school, and you're not getting good grades, so you're not allowed to read comic books or draw them. And it didn't make any sense to me. It was the one thing I was interested in, and it was fully prohibited in my class, in my house. Plus, it was right at the period, like 1980. I know this podcast is really inspired by the same kind of comic shaped us all. Like the period where John Byrne was on the X-Men was a period where I knew those comics were coming out, and I would get in major trouble if even if I was able to get 50 cents, if I was to somehow go over to the store and buy a copy of it. I remember seeing like the Teen Titans like in a store like a year into the George Perez run, and I'd missed all these issues. And there's like an issue where like Robin's costume's like half torn off. I'm like, oh, I didn't know he had like green chainmail under his suit. And it was like I missed all these issues. I went and read them as an adult, and they didn't mean anything to me. But that sense of really connecting to this art form, and all really at a key period, having it become bigger than life because it was out of my grasp, has really shaped the obsessed person that turned into.
Right. It's just another thing that I love about you, that you are firmly lodged within the indie comics world, right? And a lot of those guys, let's be honest, they kind of poo-poo the superhero stuff. It's like, nah, I've outgrown that. But you embrace it. This is where I came from, and I just can't let this stuff go. That's extremely refreshing in your stuff. Now, I mean, we Rom, in this book, there's asides to Ghost Rider, which I thought was great.
Thank you.
And you latch on to the things that we love from comics and use them to perpetuate this Josh Bayer narrative, like in Abysmalation. The Garfield stuff is beautiful. I think that those are some of your best strips ever. And it's just you reveling in this stuff. Like Jim Davis is trying to come to kill you. Like that is so much fun. And it's filtered through this incredibly dense, super detailed lens of Josh Bayer that you just don't get this stuff from everybody. Like you do a singular thing amazingly well. And one of the things that we try to do here is like let people know you guys are missing out. If you're not on this stuff, this is some groundbreaking stuff. And we've been tooting your horn forever that your stuff is so different, but it's so amazing. And you're one of a kind. That's what I'm trying to say in a long-winded, stupid way. You know?
Thank you. I like long-winded, stupid ways. Was that flattering towards me? Yeah, thanks. I really enjoyed the way Abysmalation came out a lot. That was a really good, result of it was a really good fertile relationship with the publisher, the editor, who's JT Yost, if you know him.
Yeah.
I mean, JT took those like in my experience, I've been heartbroken about how my watercolor stuff especially looks in print. I did a few books that were watercolor and analog medium, and I always would be very, very disappointed at the result. And JT actually photographed all those pages, not with the scanner, but with the camera. So it's the first time I've ever had stuff which is done in marker, and there's under pencils that don't get in the way. There's watercolors, a lot of mixed media, some of it's in pencil, and it's an art book, but it's also something that you can read. And it would have been a nightmare if that had come out and had been looked the way that my scanned watercolors had in the past.
Right.
The reason I developed my digital technique that I use on Tomorrow Forever and on Unended and my book RM was because I had to do something, because my watercolor stuff is just printing out so pale and kind of like off balance. And what I discovered is that if anybody who's used a scanner, even if you're not an artist, think about the way that you're using a photocopier and you have those lights that come and flash onto the image. It blows out your art. So that's fine in black and white, but with watercolor, it really distorts it. So that was it was a very happy, very surprising result that JT really took a very signature position in that book, looking so amazing and so successful.
Yeah, it does look really, really good. A lot of the color I noticed, and I know it's digital, but some of the color would challenge traditional 4-color printing press. There's a lot of really high chroma color in this book, and I was like, damn, who printed this thing? Because it is on point. The colors are vibrant. And the saturation is really good. So I was like, I need to know who printed this, because I'm in printing, and a lot of this stuff would really challenge somebody to get it, to capture it authentically, to get it the way you intended it to be.
I'll put you in touch with Tom Kay from Uncivilized if you really want to pursue have some questions for him or want to talk to him.
Sure.
Professional. Yeah, he was. I mean, it was done in China. That's all I know.
It came out extremely well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to one thing you said about indie artists and superhero stuff, I think I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, for one thing, I'm older than a lot of people who are in the scene, and I think that they are just as sentimental and embracing of their own kind of mainstream pulp culture.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to these kids about Pokemon or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever Generation Z is into, and I've always been 10 years behind my friends who are doing comics. So like Pat Alicio and that scene, those guys they have a lot of affection for stuff that I kind of missed the boat on. Like they had kind of a love-hate relationship with Image, and I just had a hate relationship with Image. Right. I was like 19 when that stuff came out and thought it was terrible. And they, over time, I think I like what it inspired. I don't like certain artists. I like the artists who are interpreting them through their own lens. But I don't know that. I feel like they embrace I mean, everybody always wants to do a zine about, you know, Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears or the Spice Girls or whatever is big and dumb and populist and kind of forms an umbrella that a lot of people can get under. For one thing, somebody who doesn't read indie comics will be like, you know, this is all about The Office, so I'll read it. Or this is all about 1990s X-Men cartoon, you know, I'll read it. So I do think that, and even me, like in my academic classes, I like sort of reluctantly will introduce the superhero stuff, but all my students know that the stuff I'm into, and when I do present it, right, I'm as passionate about most of that as I am, you know, the other stuff, which is part of a different canon. Right. I'll talk about Tony DeZungia pretty much as lovingly as I talk about Milton Caniff, and I'll talk about, I've been looking at Al Williamson lately, just blown away at how consistent he was. And I think those, all my students basically accept it. But, you know, I teach illustration as well as comics. In my early, evaluations, some students would say, enough of the comics. So I try to, from the beginning in my classes now, I tell them, this is who I am, but I'm going to try to give you a platform that is equal parts, appeals to the people in here who want to be fine artists, the people who want to be illustrators, and the people who want to be cartoonists. But I've just learned to not, I'm so enthusiastic about it. I try to dim it down a little bit, because even at a 5, my enthusiasm will probably read it as being at a 10.
Right. I encountered the same problem with my students, where they can see I'm going down that road of comics, and I see the eye rolls coming. And like I had one student that I have a Joe Kubert signature tattoo on my arm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're just like, who's this Joe Kubert guy? And you open that door, I'm going to walk into that room and just start, right? So there's after a while, and the kids are just like, can we not hear any more about Tarzan? It's like, I'm sorry, but these are the guys that you need to know about. These are illustrators that they were denigrated by, quote, fine artists at large, but these guys could draw anything and draw them well and without reference in a lot of cases. So you should be aspiring to be these guys, not, poo-pooing them and disregarding them, because they were monsters in their field.
How can you not love Kubert? And,
right.
And anybody who has a fine art sensibility, his stuff looks more like a, it's very unconventional for mainstream comics.
Yep.
The sense of like dust and dirt, it's like a spaghetti western.
Totally gritty, right? He was the perfect artist for Sergeant Rock. Nobody could have rendered that reality as well as Joe Kubert, I think.
Yeah.
Some guys could have done it with more visual panache, or maybe more, accurately rendered the characters and the vehicles. But Joe gave it a gritty realism that nobody could produce, I think. And I love his stuff.
I respect his sons, but the sons don't have all the key things that's appealing to Joe. That's appealing to me about Joe's work is, like you said, how weathered and textured everything is.
Yeah,
it has some elements that are very gestural. Like his shadows just look like he's doing them so intuitively, and he doesn't idealize, or at least he doesn't idealize as fetishistically as other artists do. And his sons are perfectly good, and they have their own vision, but it doesn't have, it doesn't have that really, that depth that Joe's stuff has. And the only time I remember in like 20 years ago before Joe died, some of his last work was like inking on top of Adam Kubert for like the Ultimate X-Men series. And I remember I'd just been hating, because I was reading it because I liked Mark Millar a lot at the time, and it was the first time I liked the work. And then I looked at the credits, and I was like, oh, his dad inked this. And I guess as far as inkers go, he does tend to be somebody who really overpowers the pencils.
Sure, yeah. When I met Joe, he had inked over one of his sons on that Before Watchmen stuff, and
I saw that too.
And the stuff looked great. But because Joe was like the guiding force of it, and you would think like the son would learn, like, wow, look what my dad did to my pencils, like pick up some of that stuff. But I don't want to shit on the sons. I think they're very talented guys. It's just that they have their thing, and their dad, did it right. So, yeah. So let's get back to Unended for a little while.
Sure.
One of the things I wasn't a little mad at you, but if I was reading this and you were in the room, there was a couple of things in this book where I'm just like, man, the thing that got me was the intro with Pettibon. How you went back to him and he validated you, and then the thing with your dad and the comics, you were just looking for some kind of validation. And I'm like, God damn it, this is Josh Bear. He does not need to be validated by anyone. So I felt some kind of way when he's like, okay, I endorse you. I'm like, bullshit. He doesn't need your endorsement. This is Josh Bear, man.
I love it. Thank you. That's a huge compliment. That last, me knocking on his door and saying, I need you to say something that validates me. That was a fiction. But what happened was I tracked down Pettibone. I said to him, just what happened in the comic. I want to talk to you. I don't really expect you to write an intro, but we could have a conversation, and I could probably transcribe it and turn it into an intro. And then when I read it, it was a great conversation, but he didn't build that bridge back to my work. And I just needed one more line, and I played it out of my head. And I was like, if I go over and I force the issue, he's going to. It's a very Pettibone-like gesture. Like, what do you want from me? Like, you want me to say I validate you? Okay, I validate you. Much for many of the reasons that you just said. Like, I think he would find that to be absurd.
Right.
And that part was a very true dialogue, and the whole dialogue. I recorded it, and then I created a transcript of it. And if anybody reads Bubble Zine, the whole transcription is in bubbles. But yeah, I would have loved to put introduction from Raymond Pettibone, but it's kind of an anti-introduction. So I didn't put that on the cover, and people will see it. It still is what it is. It's still. There when people open up the cover. So it's a kind of an intro and kind of an anti-intro. So, at least you can know that I didn't, I'm a fiction writer, so I didn't really, but I do really like that you said that. I honestly didn't make that connection. That's there absolutely is there is a link between those two things. You got Pettibone talking about his relationship with his father. You have me dealing with my father, which is the reason that his intro belonged in there. And then I didn't even think about the idea that I'm also literally asking him to say that he endorses me or validates me, but same thing.
They're pretty powerful bookends. Yeah, I picked up on that immediately, and I was like, I mean, you know how I feel about your work, right? Is there ever a time when you finished a page and you pull back and you look at it and you're just like, damn, I'm good. Like, do you do that? Do you have self-worth?
Yeah. Hopefully, it's somewhere between those two extremes. I have days where I'm really happy with what I've done. Usually, on the same page, I feel differently in the morning. I do love. I can't accept an outrageous compliment like that, but thank you so much.
Ah, come on. Another one of the things about the book that I found fascinating is the fact that the majority of the time you depict yourself in shadow. Like there's almost no facial features at all. And you said it yourself, it's hard to see yourself. Are you still seeking the visual identity of Josh Bear, or? Yeah,
definitely.
Well, that's good.
On a lot of different levels. My basic rationale for blacking out my face was this is the first. In a lot of ways, this is a sequel to Theft, but it's the first time, and Theft is a stand-in for me, but I've identified, it's an avatar. And it's the first time I haven't used an avatar, but it's still fiction. Whenever you write about yourself, it's fiction. There's things in the comic that didn't happen. There's many, many things that are biographical. There's some things that I exaggerate. I tried not to exaggerate in a self-serving way. I sometimes will exaggerate just to sort of embrace the language of comics. For example, my dad would throw my work at me when I showed it to him. He didn't throw it so the pages went through the air and perfectly smacked in my face. The paper doesn't do that. like somehow it's a wet piece of paper. But other than that, that's actually true. And yeah, but I do recognize, who knows what I remember in the book and what I don't. I talked to my brothers about how we took the book when we all found it together, as I depict in the comic. For people who haven't read the book yet, my dad died in 2010, and while we were, sorting through the aftermath of him passing away, my stepmother came out with a box of his writing and gave it to us. And my brother Dan and John remember that she didn't give it to us; we just took it, and that's not what I remember. So who knows which one was right? It's also possible that I misunderstood and that they did that when I wasn't in the room. But there is, they as much as I'm certain that my recollection of my childhood is accurate, my parents have a much different version. And that is, who knows which one is true. I don't think I hallucinated a solid 18 years of these consistent patterns of outrageous behavior and rage and all the other things I dealt with. I didn't hallucinate them putting me in a home for troubled teens for a year when I was a teenager. All those things are true. But study memory and you'll find out that memory is very different from what we think it is. So
Sure.
I came up with the idea that I'd black out the face to kind of acknowledge that this is me, but it's not me.
Right. Because I go down the creative chain and I think, okay, his face is obscured. There's a lack of detail, which means it's unformed. You're uncertain. And I just keep traveling down that conceptual bridge to try and get to what are you trying to say with this? And the luxury of having you here and actually telling us is amazing, because you're the architect of this reality, whether parts of it are true or not. As an observer into this world, you're the authority. So we take what you say as the law. This is the way it happened. It doesn't matter to me as a reader whether or not the Pettibone thing was completely true. What matters to me is this is how you interpreted those events. That's, because that gives us a window into, who you are. Right. Right. And the whole face darkening thing was, I thought it was sublime and poignant and odd, because from my vantage point, I look at you and your work and I'm like, this guy should be made of bronze. Like, he should be walking down the street illuminated and glistening and like, I'm Josh Bayer, bitch, and to know that you see yourself in a completely different way. It's cool to perceive that. And it's just another one of the things that I love about this book. Another thing, you're not going to believe this, but the whole trip in the Oldsmobile, and I kind of giggled when you said, "Is this a Cadillac?" But the finger knives thing, dude, I used to do this. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I'd put my hand out the window and I would imagine myself shooting fire from my fingers and just raising the landscape, like burning everything. And when you did that finger knives things, I was like, holy shit. Like, there's another weirdo in this world who has done things that I've done. Like, that sequence is great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really funny to hear somebody. The lines really blur for me on this book. I lived with it for 4 or 5 years. Kind of took on almost became sentient, and yeah, it's really cool. This is what I wanted. I wanted people to get really introduced to my world. And like I said, I read Kerouac when I was 18, and I was like, those motherfuckers, this was normal. People, lots of kids, you're either imagining, you're cutting through the landscape with a laser beam or a flame, which I love, or Kerouac said that he would imagine he had a huge saber, which is such a 1920s idea, or
Yeah.
whenever he was a kid.
Like an Errol Flynn type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just amazing stuff. Another thing about the book that I was very pleased to experience was the relationship you have with Hyena.
Yes.
Because
glad you mentioned that.
It's a nice little, when people, because I follow you on social media, I follow her and stuff, and the way you guys interact on social media, like if I could ship the perfect person for Josh Baer, it would kind of be her. It's weird, right? Like, how did you guys meet?
It's kind of a nice story because she saw my stuff in Henry and Glenn.
Oh, it's going back. Yeah.
Yeah, we met in, I think we were first in touch in like 2015 or something. And she, when I did my Henry and Glenn book, I'm like an obsessive Rollins and Danzig fan. I'm not, I poo-poo people who just know the mother song of Danzig. I just not even putting aside the Misfits. Those first 4 albums are excellent, and the Rollins I'm the same way. Stuff that he did before he became the first 4 albums, before he became the Lollapalooza guy, first 4 if you count like a live album, are really really significant. And it's sad that stuff, by the way, isn't out there. Rollins actually sort of keeps a pretty tight. He keeps all his catalog pretty locked down. It's not on any streaming platform. So you can maybe hear it on YouTube, maybe buy the original CDs from him, and that's a whole other topic. But when I did the book, I laced it with like deep cuts. I'm talking about like songs from the second side of Danzig 3 and I'm talking about Rollins' like Come In and Burn album. And I really know those guys' career like the back of my hand. And she's the same way. Not only that, she knows every like kind of forsaken Iggy Pop album. She listens to Lou Reed's what's that album he did after the Blue? Like everything between the Blue Mask and New Sensation. She knows those albums really well. She doesn't care if nobody else likes them. So she recognized another fanatic weirdo, and she was like, "Who is this guy?" And then she was trying to be my friend, and I was like, "I'm not used to people. I don't know what to make of it when somebody is so upfront with liking me." But that's how she was, and she planned a trip to New York. She's like, "I'm going to meet you," and she made a pretext to come to New York, and then we met, and then we've been together ever since. We're very, very tight partners, despite being in different cities.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love the interplay between you two. And she cuts to the bone, man. She does not pull punches.
Right.
Which is amazing.
She's changed me a lot. I was telling somebody about her recently, and it's like I have like story after story to tell a lot of the times where she is in my corner and she's giving me like she's really a great consultant in all things, all realms. I've become very different from meeting her. I've seen things in much less black and white ways.
That's great. Yeah. Again, I had to laugh when you're telling her all about your dad and the stuff in the that you're planning for the book, and she's like, oh yeah, you're the champion of suffering. Woe is you, like that is great. She does not give a shit, which is it's awesome. I hope the relationship endures forever. I really do, because it just seems like you guys are two pieces that fit together really, really well.
Thank you for that thought. Thank you.
Yeah. Another thing which was really cool is the freaking Lemmy stuff with the Motorhead and the Star Trek episodes. That was really cool and unexpected.
Thanks.
How did that come about?
It's just I just listen to my. I just kind of have my radar up when I'm doing a story and see what feels right for it. The idea of Lemmy somehow being on Star Trek, we'll let you know this is a fictional world. Yeah. Somehow it's our planet. Everything is the same, except in this dimension, Lemmy was Lemmy, and he also was cast in a Star Trek show. I think I found a comic where I was saying to Hyena, doesn't Lemmy have kind of a posh accent? He's like, what kind of English accent does he have? He kind of talks like Patrick Stewart. But then again, Patrick Stewart is probably, he comes from a very lower working class background. But more than that, he talks like Jean-Luc Picard. He's kind of got this, he's just less fancy. He has kind of a harsher demeanor.
Right.
Like a combination of Picard and Worf. And maybe that's what triggered it. And a lot of time, I just gave an assignment to my students where I asked them to do a dual narrative. And I said that in my work, you often see dual narratives where there's there's a private narrative, there's a public narrative. There's a show that everybody can watch, and it forms an umbrella that everybody is broad enough that everybody can get into. It might be a song, or it might be a TV show, or a band, or Ghost Rider, or Lemmy. And again, I gave that assignment to my students. I said, take an incident that happened to you, or this closely modeled after something happened to you, and then I want you to pair it with another narrative that is out of the blue, that is something a character might be watching, or a song that they're listening to, or an MTV video they're listening to. And I'm like, just see what happens. Try to see, maybe the two things will resolve each other, and maybe it'll be open-ended and give the story a sense of mystery. And that's pretty much the way that I'm what I want for my own story.
All right. Well, the image of Lemmy as a Starfleet officer with a giant scythe, pretty damn compelling, right? I want to see that.
Yeah, me too.
And we're lesser people because it doesn't exist. That would be really cool, right? So the whole Chewy center of this book is that you're trying to make sense out of your father's play, which is unfinished, right? And come up with an ending. And I thought the journey of you trying to decipher what he had written, or like making sense of the fits and starts of the play, was like in a way reassembling and rearranging the memories you have of your dad, trying to piece together the person he was. And let's be honest, anybody who reads this knows the guy wasn't perfect. But he obviously meant something to you to make the effort that you made to decipher what he had written.
True.
And I have to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that I understand all of the Poe ending. The Bela Lugosi playing, doing the Poe stuff on stage. I understand it to a point, but maybe you can flesh out a little bit more for me of how, like the Telltale Heart part, where there's something working on this guy that no one else can hear. Like that's appropriate to the narrative, where you have this ghost of your dad that's impacting you in a way that nobody understands but you. So that you hear the beating of that heart, and you talk like, don't you hear that? Like that's my, That's my father's resonance on this world. Like, I need to decipher this. Where I get that part about the Telltale Heart, but the whole, like, why did you pick Bela Lugosi?
I don't know.
Well,
I am not entirely sure. The whole story came to me when it came to me, and I kept the structure when I first wrote it. And I knew that I had this story that didn't have a cap, and I needed to force something into it. So forcing something that didn't fit, if it doesn't fit, that's kind of the point. And I do my best to make it fit, but I'm not going to end this unendable thing. So having this third act that is like this uneasy seal on this this project that needs to be resolved is exactly what you said. It is something that doesn't entirely. There's a disconnect,
right.
And I decided, like you said, you enter this comic, you're entering a world where it's the rules of the author, and that's interesting too. That's core, it's meta. It's core to the ideas of the story. What is it to do successful writing, and what does it mean to you? How do you make work mean something to other people? And so that came to me. I was reading a book about Bela Lugosi at the time, and I decided in this world, like, it's following my rules. So inexplicably, Bela Lugosi could still be alive. My publisher said at one point, maybe introduce Bela Lugosi earlier. And I have like one tiny drawing of him very early, but I didn't think that was terribly important, especially because it's supposed to be an interruption and a shock.
Right. Well, you're aware of the history of Bela Lugosi, where at one time he was celebrated, but towards the end of his career, he was an addict and fell out of favor and appeared in low-budget Ed Wood movies and very far removed from the stature he once had. And I thought that aspect of it was, okay, I get that part, because Dad at one time was the driving force of this family, and an inescapable presence in this unit. And then towards the end, or towards the later years, he receded a little bit with the seclusion in the room, and you had to go to him, and he was always like by himself or removed from the family. Like, I get that part. So, but the ending is intensely surreal, and I think that benefits the book conceptually, in that you didn't end this thing that your dad left unfinished. You just wrapped it in a mesmerizing shell that just left what exists as it was, and just said, like, I can't put a punctuation mark at the end of the sentence because I'm not that person. So this is how I translated it. This is where I'm letting it lay. And I thought that was great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's, I think that you have my dad's play, which is not going to be remembered. You have my work that I don't know, who knows, like, what legacy I'll leave behind. Then you have Edgar Allan Poe, who, even if you have never read his stuff, you can probably recite a couple lines from The Raven, or what the basic gist of his story was. And that's lived on for 100 years. Maybe it'll last for another 100, maybe not.
Right.
So it's three different levels of people who are struggling to be artists or writers or creators. The other thing with Bela is, when I read about him, I got the impression that it depends on who you talk to. The story, the rap on him is that, he was this, that he really fell from grace, that he had this very tragic soap opera-ish like descent, conjures up ideas of, whatever happened to Baby Jane and other stars who can't give up the limelight. When I read the book about him, they portrayed it that he was, that if you take away some of the some of the dramatization of what
Right.
happened to him and the pathos around it. He was a working actor. He wasn't as popular. He saw Boris Karloff become bigger than him, but he really did do these one-man shows reading The Telltale Heart. And the part where the drummer, I could really see it from this book. He would be there on the stage, and it's just him reading it, this mesmerizing voice, and he's accompanied by a drummer. And the drummer's off stage, and one day the drummer hit the note at the wrong point, and he actually broke the strap, and he fell onto the stage. That really happened, and I was like, I love how action-packed that is in this very still scene. And I read it as that's somebody that I relate to. He did the work. He did what work there was to do. Some of it seemed pretty pitiful, but he did a lot of work off a little bit away from the public eye, where it was in the theater, where it was still respectable, and he's still somebody who is trying to do a good day's work with every ounce of energy he has. So I saw him in that guise as well.
That sequence is really powerful in Unended, where you have the drummer and he initiates a pattern, and the pounding is just building, and it just keeps mounting, and then he's actually slamming the drum, and it's just like, it's really intense. And the way, obviously, the way you visualize it is just impeccable, right? So I thought Unended is not a book that I think one can take a single pass through and completely understand. I think this is a book that demands rereads. You need to, speaking, just from my vantage point, obviously, that I wish I had the luxury of time where I can go back and read it again for this episode, where I can be better. I absorbed, I think, a good amount of it. But there's more. Like, there's stuff in there that I'm sure will reveal itself to me on subsequent readings, right? Not only the narrative, but your art, man. I don't know how long this took you to complete. You said the better part of 3 years?
4.5. I mean, I think I spent a year coloring it.
Wow.
I colored the whole thing in 3 months, looked at it, said I want to do it again. I want to make this color better, and I broke out all the pages and did them again for another 6 months. Wow. And I found out that the originally it was due a year before it was going to come out. Then the publisher told me that they needed to push it, and I was like, that's fine. A year goes by. You see how fast time goes. That doesn't mean an extra 9 months doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you have the creative energy to do something like that, to go back and rework stuff that I'm sure was great, but you felt otherwise. So that's awesome. But so 4.5 years. We're lucky to have you, man. I mean,
it's crazy.
This book is incredible. Just to kind of wrap it up, I also love the fact that there was no final page in the play, and the panel, I think, or the sequence where you're asking your father, just give me something I can work with. That mirrors the interaction with Pettibon. Like, you're just asking them, just give me something I can use, give me something I can work with. It's brilliant. It really is. Are you still there? Did he get knocked off?
The image is frozen.
Yeah, the image is frozen. Oh, no. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
Oh, no. Stupid Skype.
Fucking Skype.
Well, how about it? I'm going to kick him. I'm going to kick him and reconnect with him. How about that? We'll see if we could do that. Just to wrap it all up, because we don't want to leave. Well, it would be very conceptually sound with the book to leave it unfinished. Right? Let's see if I can't get him back. Oh no, he's unavailable. It's kind of poignant, kind of perfect. Yeah. All right. So
I think all his appearances should have to end that way now.
yeah, really, really.
Wow.
Yeah, he is amazing. That was great. This is a weird.
See,
It's a weird episode.
It all
man.
works out.
It does.
You don't have to redo the header image. You don't have to worry about the gallery.
I was leaving it the same anyway.
Good.
So.
No, this was I mean, we were having a blast to begin with, but I mean, the fact that you were able to connect with him at the end here was just that was wonderful.
I just wanted to say to him to bring it all home was that, damn it, stop doubting yourself.
Yeah, seriously.
Because there's one part where a character says to him, I think it's Hyena, where no, it's the person he randomly meets on the street. As he's thinking, he runs into a street person. Josh starts communicating to this person the problems he's having with his father's play, and he's trying to find the answers. And the street person says, Josh gives him money. The person says, just go figure out the answers, unless you're lazy or you don't have any talent. And Josh's reply is, I'm not lazy. Which ripped my shit apart. Like, okay, you admit you're not lazy, which you're not, but my dude, you have more talent than anybody else I know. Like, why can't you see it? Like, my man. So Josh Bayer, Unended, Uncivilized Books. Go get it. I got to get the slipcase edition. That was awesome. So, hey, thank you all for listening to this. Please, if you would like to save money on omnibus editions, collected editions, manga, art books, a whole bunch of stuff, go to cheapgraphicnovels.com. That's cheapgraphicnovels.com, because you will save more than Amazon, more than anywhere else. Just go there. And do us a solid, check out our Patreon page. Big doings are in the works. We're going to revamp a lot of stuff. We're going to make it even better than it already is. And what it already is you get extra audio, hours and hours of extra audio that the people on the regular feed don't hear. You get images, you get comic book covers, you get to download original fanzines from back in the day. You can vote on the book of the month, which is coming up very soon. So you all would be... oh, hey! Yes, he's back. You know what was cool? Yeah, I can hear you. You know what was really cool? The fact that it just cut off and it was unended. I was like, this is the perfect friggin' ending. But I just wanted to wrap it up by saying, awesome that you came here with us. And there was one section of the later stage of the book that I really wanted to take you to task about, was after you communicated with the street person and you were telling them all the problems you were having with deciphering your dad's work, and you didn't know how, you were going to end it, and you didn't have the answers, and they said to you, just go figure out the answers, unless you're lazy or you don't have any talent. And your reply was, I'm not lazy. And if I had you in the room, I would shake the hell out of you and say, you also should have said, I have a hell of a lot of talent. Like, come on.
Come on, what's funnier than saying lazy? Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. Yeah, it is what it is. It's so funny hearing, this is really what I wanted. I want everybody to have a different take on it, see some things as true, some things as just disputable, something, and to understand that it's a book that has a life of its own. That's what I want. That's what I wanted for it. That's what I wanted for the person who reads it to experience. So thank you.
Well, I think the perception of this book is going to vary based on their proximity to you. Like those that know you or are familiar with you, whether from your work or from online, a lot of this stuff is going to resonate more strongly than somebody who has no idea who you are. But the end game is after they read Unended, they're going to know who you are. So I think this was a brilliant move on your part, where it is actually a statement of you saying, this is me, this is who I am, warts and all, I'm Josh Bayer. And I love that book because of this. Because you're just cluing in all the people that are the ignorant people to what we all already know. That you're like super awesome, my brother.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I told everybody, hey, get Unended, whether just a plain old paperback or the slipcase edition through Uncivilized Books or your website. If there's anything else you wanna pimp, push before you go.
No, I was just starting to say before I got cut off, I'm already working. I worked on Unended as soon as I finished Tomorrow Forever, and I started working on my next book as soon as I finished Unended. And so I'm about 75, 80 pages, maybe twice that, I don't know. I'd have to count into this my next project, which is kind of like the opposite of Unended. I'm doing another adaptation of a friend of mine who died, and kind of tragically, and he left behind this brilliant manuscript. And so I'm doing another adaptation now, and that should be out, I think, probably sooner than 4 years. I'm really moving along on it. But it's funny because my dad's play was maybe 40, 50 pages of his play wrapped up with 180 pages of me dealing with it. And this one's the opposite. It's like 200 pages of my friend's manuscript with about 50 pages of me talking about how tragic he was when he died, and what relationship I had with him.
It sounds great. And like I said, I follow you on Instagram, so I see the stacks of pages and you just paging through them. And it's like, man, this guy is just relentless. You just produce work like crazy, and it's all amazing stuff. Like there's no lull in your process. You don't have, segments where you're just going through the motions. Like it's all top-notch stuff. And it just boggles my mind how a human being that gets tired and hungry and sometimes confused and lost can produce this much consistent work on the schedule that you do. Like you're unceasing in your production.
Well, thank you. Sarah Marshall, the podcaster, she said that the period where you're locked into a project and you really cinch up with it, that's a really special, something. Some people never experience that. And she was like, that's a really special thing. Whether your book goes anywhere, the feeling that you want to do it and you know that you have to do it is a really, really rare, rich thing to mine. And I've gone down, I've explored, I've chased that feeling since I was a kid.
Right. Well, brother, after reading this book, I'm sorry for some of the stuff you had to deal with in your past, but
Thank you.
It all makes us who we are. And so I'm sorry you had to deal with it, but I'm glad it happened because we wouldn't have the dude we have today. So
awesome. I'm thrilled to hear what's it.
Andy's gone again.
Damn it.
That's okay.
Really?
Oh, there you are. Wait.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You're,
I was just saying that's incredibly effusive praise, and thank you so much.
Yes. Well, I mean, we love you. You have a home here. Whenever you want to come back, door's always open, and we'll keep blowing that horn.
Thank you so much for doing this interview. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. It was my pleasure. Love you, my dude.
Love you.
Bye.
Talk soon.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Tell Hyena I said hello.
Oh,
He didn't hear that. Oh, well.
she did.
Yes, I'm sure she did. So there you go. Josh Bayer back again to cap us all off. So yes, cheapgraphicnovels.com, patreon.com/11o'clockcomics. I think we should just forego the In Your Travels for this episode because we went really long. We'll double back next episode. Jason, you still there, my buddy?
Still here, buddy.
Yay! What'd you think of that?
It was awesome, dude. It was beautiful. It was like watching two maestros just having a on-stage jam session.
I can't tell you how excited I am. Like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm actually vibrating. My body's like, I love him so much. I don't want to make him like feel creeped out or weird and say, man, I love your stuff, but I cannot express it any other way. I love his work.
No doubt.
You will too if you read it. Unended, Uncivilized Books. All right. In your travels, go get some comics, read them, love them, enjoy them, hopefully, and talk about them. That's the important part. Bring it online and talk to like-minded people about what you enjoyed about comics. Come back next time. We'll have something here waiting for you, a beverage, maybe a sandwich. And in the meantime, say good night. I got nothing. I was trying to make the cat meow. She won't do it. David.
All right.
What?
Yeah. She's gonna fight you,
No, I think she caught a mouse.
David.
Oh. Nice. Little mouser action.
Hey, what are you doing over there?
They're in her keep.
I don't know. I just don't want to clean it up. Excellent job, David.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Tell them you love them.
Love you.
I love them almost as much as American Ninja.
Wow, there's a glowing endorsement.
Listen, I don't know the last time you watched American Ninja, but it just went on Netflix. Amazon Prime just got it and all the other it is, as a child of the 80s, having the Canon film streamable is a good thing.
Oh, Canon films are great. If you like action and titties,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And titties.
Michael, where would Michael Dudikoff have been without Canon films?
It's true.
Hanging out with you, Michael Vincent.
Jan Michael Vincent.
That's it for that one.